discover our adventures on a Dragon's Back race recce.
You are listening to the Tea and Trails podcast. Woo!
Thanks, Emma Walters, for another awesome intro. Yeah, looked like a great day out on the Welsh trails, and good luck with your Dragon's Back race training.
Activate everything. Just everything today. Get that big black band you never use. Get it between your thighs and give your glutes a right good going over. Welcome to episode... Oh, I love the black band. Occasionally I try and do clamshells with the black band. I can't. Just cannot open my legs with that one, Gary. Welcome to episode 76 of the UK's number one trail running podcast, Tea and Trails.
My name is Gary Twits.
My name's Gary Twits.
Oh, we haven't got... my name's Gary Twits and I'm feeling the birthday lover. We did that last week, didn't we?
Have you already read that? Oh,
I did that last week.
Oh my God, you're not prepared. You've hassled and hassled me saying
How smoothly is this going out of 10, Eddie, so far?
You hassled me saying I'm ready and you've not even written your very small part of the script you need to read. Right. What's your name and what you're doing?
Gary,
How you're feeling?
Wait. I'm feeling sensational.
Even the way you say that gives me the ick. My name is Eddie Sutton and I literally am done. I'm done. I even messaged Gary just before saying, I can't do it, Gary. I can't record.
I've got a special WhatsApp.
Well, I started your day as only very few people would dream of. I sent you a lovely little video of me heavy breathing up a mountain. Anyway, I'm here. I'm alive. We're going to do this.
Oh. This week we
don't know, guys. We've got a super surprise for you because we have had a guest. We've had not a guest. We've almost had a guest. We've almost not had a guest. We might have a guest. We might not have a guest. So we know as good as you. So while we're recording this, it could just be Gary and I. And Gary's always worried if we don't have a guest. And I'm always like,
it's not enough.
He's always like, it's not enough. If the podcast's not nearly 3 hours, it's not enough. But I'm like, yeah, but I think it's fine sometimes. So there might be a guest. There might not.
We'll see if the download numbers.
Yeah, see if they. Do you think?
We do have a Tales from the Trails. Our Protein Rebel competition continues. We pop over to Strava Club and yeah, we do share our weekly deets.
Thank you to our Patreon partners who share their discount codes with our patrons. We have Precision Fuel and Hydration, Velo40, Protein Rebel, Tiki Boo, Mountain Fuel, Actor Active, Silver Sweden, Active Route, The Centurion Running Store, Sportsshoes.com, Big Bubble Hats, X Miles, Fawnside Farm Cottages, You Go Cool Projects, Hellfire Events, Red Bear Sports, The Album App, Retainer Group Cycle Protection, Summit Crazy, Beat It Sports, Lumi Activewear, Felix Likes UK, Bridgedale Socks, Nav4 and Ultra Trail 2. Extra shout out to Precision Fuel and Hydration and Protein Rebel. Oh, I've just had my Protein Rebel collagen in my smoothie. Do you know what? My smoothie maker, is a NutriBullet. When I have to, it's so old, I have to hold the thing in place because it's all broken. And it goes, and now brown liquid, I think it's burning as it's going, it's coming out the bottom. As it did it, even I went, Eddie, I don't think that's good. But I need it to just hang on in there because I can't drink the collagen, not in a smoothie. Can't do it, Gary. I know you can. You just put it in your tea.
Maybe I should hit old NutriBullet up for a Patreon perk. That'd be a good one, wouldn't it?
But I can smell that fish a mile away. Fishy, mishy in that tea. No, smells of something.
You're not a fan of fish, though, are you? I don't mind fish. You are not a seafood
Smells of something
lover.
that we don't like. Anyway, we use their products every month. Well, all month to help fuel, hydrate, and recover. I also I've got one of those Protein Rebels, like big bottles. It must be a litre of fluid. And when I came back from my run this morning, I drank the whole thing with a 1500 in, Gary. Not a problem.
Good.
And I haven't been for a pee
good.
since. It's not a good time.
I did say, well, Lisa pointed out, actually, one of our listeners, maybe on the Facebook group, she said, she's wearing some Tiki Boo leggings. So that was good. I wonder if she used her Patreon.
At least she loves a Tiki Boo, doesn't she? She's all over. She's like,
I wouldn't know a Tiki Boo from a Sweaty Betty, but yeah, she...
Yeah, you would.
If you would like to save some money, support the podcast and our partners, then please consider joining Patreon. We couldn't do this without you guys. Also, pop over to Summit Crazy if you'd like to buy some awesome Tea and Trails merch. Yes, we've said it every week for the past, oh my goodness me, a month.
800 years. I've been here for 800 years.
Patrons can now enjoy 25% over at Summit Crazy. Yeah, 25%. That is mighty generous.
Thank you to Precision Fuel Hydration and Phoenix Light for sponsoring this week's show. Super grateful as ever for your support. Don't forget to pop over to Precision Fuel Hydration Towers, book in with their sports scientists, read some case study, or use their handy fuel planner, especially as now there is a slight glimmer of the sun. It might only be for one day this year, but you don't want to be lacking in electrolytes on that one day. And knowing our luck, it'll be the one day that one of you is choosing to run your first 100-miler and you've done no running in the sun at all, but at least you can be prepared with some electrolytes. Pop over to precisionhydration.com.
If you are a Patreon, you can get 15% off over Precision Fuel and Hydration, and anybody can get 15% off for their first order if they use the code, super simple, all caps, T24. That is T24. Yeah, we got to pad this out just in case we don't get a guest.
I never have any problem padding out my week, anything, as I go into minute 44 of what I've been doing that week.
See, I love your catch up because I just go 6 times 3 minutes.
Well, your face gets more and more resting dead face because you're like, Eddie is still talking and it's so dull.
No, I don't think that. My goodness me.
Your kids won't watch this, but my kids, people that got kids my age, they watched the new Famous Five. It came out a while ago, but we're a bit behind. They've made a new version of the Famous Five over Christmas, I think it was. They came out. They're really scary, Gary. I was like, I can't watch. She's creeping through this like dark house with this doll, like
a
lying.
film?
And then
Or
they're three like short films. Kids love them, but I was like, oh my God, this is like proper like adult scariness. And one of them is they have this adventure with this hypnotist. Look into my eyes. Anyway, do you want me to go first then? Are you ready? Are you ready, listeners, for this incredible?
I'm going to brace myself.
Brace yourself, Effie, as my mum says. Here we go. Well, the week started off really well, full of energy, ready to go. And then it just, I don't like to say it went downhill as in like the training got less and less, but the training dial went down, but not due to anything apart from the family dial was heavy up. And it was much more up than I anticipated it to be. It took a lot more of my emotional and general physical energy. And that's okay. But my God, today, lovely first moment when everyone's out the house. I just sit down with a cup of tea and I just breathe and believe, Gary. Breathe and believe. Then have you badgering me going, no.
Are you ready yet? Are you ready?
Are you ready? Anyway, the week started well. Good speed session. Oh, I am loving running fast. I'm going to do that again. Oh, no, that doesn't really work with my plans. I'm going to say I'm going to do it again, but really enjoying running fast again. So I went down to the gym. I thought I'm just going to do my speed session, but I'm going to do my weights again first because I felt really good last week when I did my weights first. Proper warmed up I was. Those glutes were absolutely on fire by the time I got to my speed session. Anyway, there were two guys in the gym. They'd spread themselves out. They were using all three of the squat racks. They had all their stuff set out.
Terrible etiquette.
Terrible etiquette. And I sort of stood there and I stared at them. And I was like, so what? I could use the dumbbells, but my main bit, I always have like a main weight, and it was squats, and I needed the squat rack, and it was a chest press. And I was like, so I stared, and I was like, they didn't like, there was no like, oh, sorry, we're taking up the whole gym. And then they were crashing the weights around and that really. So I was like, okay, baby Jesus wants me to do my treadmill session. I'll do my treadmill session first. Let's just get Taylor Swift on. But as I was running and doing this speed session, I did turn my music up as loud as I go, but I could hear they kept dropping the weights and it kept like, oh my goodness. How
big is it? Well, I'm trying to visualize. I've seen a picture of the dungeon. What are we looking at? Like 10 foot by 10 foot?
What's 10? No, it is really big. I just think it's not very well set out. So as soon as you get like 5 people in there, it feels cramped. And then you get somebody in there. Like, so if I'm using the squat rack, I'll set my weight, and normally I always do superset. So I'm doing squats and then something different. I'll just leave the weights on, but I'll be done. It'll be done in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you take your weights off and you put it away and then you move on to the next thing. You don't just spread everything and then sit there on your phone. Oh my Lord. Anyway, it was annoying. It ended up being a really good run. And I hadn't taken a spare set of clothes because I thought I'll do my weights first and then I'll do the treadmill. So I get sweaty when I do my weights, but then after them, I was like, oh my God. So I pulled out loads of the, I I pulled out loads of the paper towels that you used to clean the machines off. And then I just used that as soon as I started sweating on the treadmill. And of course, it was all getting like stuck to my sweat because it like was disintegrating. Then I had my jumper. So then I was trying to like mop up. So anyway, then I just got to the point where I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna lie on everything and just get really sweaty and horrible, which is what I did. But by the time I finished, they were still there, but then they were clearing up, bashing stuff around, and then I did pretty much have the gym to myself. Anyway, feeling good in the gym. I've moved on now to some 17.5 kg dumbbells now for most of my exercises. One of my friends did comment about the size of my arm muscles, so
you're curling 17 or you bench pressing 17?
Yeah, never do bicep curls actually, but
I don't either.
No, but look, my like walking lunges, I suppose. Definitely. But one of my friends went, oh my God, Eddie, your arms are massive.
See, I see pictures of my arms. I think maybe I do need a bit of bicep action.
Do you? Well, I look at mine. That's the difference in man and woman. I go, oh my God, they are massive. I don't want massive biceps, but I
don't care until I see pictures, and then you send me a WhatsApp saying about my peas on strings.
I prefer to have peas on strings and these big bulges. It look like a tennis player. Anyway, very soon, in a couple of weeks' time in the summer, I won't be able to get to the gym, and then it'll just be press ups, and then they'll just be peas. I'll never have peas on strings. I've always had really muscly muscles. I think ever since I was like a little girl, as soon as I've done any sport, I've muscled up, Gary.
I heard that about you.
So the week started well. I was like, that's great. And then it generally just sort of caught up with me. We had torrential rain all week, and it didn't help with my mojo. No, but that's okay. I'm used to that. We're all used to the rain now. Didn't really help my mojo, but it makes life just so hard when you're trying to get kids to and from stuff, and it's just absolutely pouring with wet. And then with the dogs, they come in, there's just mud everywhere. Single parenting, all the driving. Bryn had taken the nice car because he has to have a nice car to drive to the airport while I drive the massive van. It's great when you need bikes and skis and it's full of people, but when you just need to commute, you want the little car. And at the moment, they're doing this thing that they do every year where they spread the road with tiny bits of gravel. I don't understand. So everywhere around town, it's just like they've just graveled the road and then they just leave it. So
have you not found this out over the years why they
should have, shouldn't I? Anyway, I got really angry with the people actually doing it, and then they stand in the road like shoveling this gravel. Obviously it's not their job of dreams, is it? But they did it my road for 2 days, so I was going up and down like past them, and they'd just be standing there, be like, oh my God, get out the way. And they'd be like, you can come past. I'm like, I'm in this massive van, I'm gonna actually go over your feet. By the end of it, I didn't care. I was like, well, just generally will. And then they've gone, and now there's just these gravel bits everywhere. Someone listening to the podcast will work on the roads and will go, that's because
I think curious.
I think it's because they don't want to re-tarmac the road. So after the winter, the road is always really super cracked and needs replacing because of the freeze and then unfreeze and then all the salt they put on it and all the snow plows probably are really heavy driving up and down it.
Do you get horrendous potholes in the UK? Oh my goodness.
No, it just cracks. So it gets all uneven. And I think they try and fill in, like smooth it out. And we haven't got the Tour de France coming to Morzine this year, so they are not interested about retarmacking.
Why not?
You have to pay. The towns have to pay to have the Tour de France. Did you know that? So we've had it for 2 years in a row. It must cost, and we've had it finishing here, and I think that's like really expensive. So they're having which is
that's the same with the marathon majors. I was speaking to a friend. Wondered why Paris wasn't a major, and it must just be they don't.
Must be something to do with the sponsors, maybe, or something. I had a lovely long run with my mates. We'd agreed to. Everyone will know this. If you want to run with your friends, you have to book the day about 4 weeks in advance that everybody is free and can book the time out. So we booked this day about a month ago, going, right, we're all going to keep 4 or 5 hours free. And then the college messaged all of us, we've got older kids going, oh, by the way, your kids are all finishing at 11:30 today. There'll be no buses and there'll be no lunch. Oh, thanks for that. Anyway, it was still raining. This is Friday now. It was still raining. So we decided, okay, we'll make the most of our time and we'll park at the college and we'll make a route. I was in charge of making the route, didn't do very well with that. Looked on Strava, and every route I came up with, I was like, we had maybe like 3 hours. But when you run in a group, at least half an hour of that is stopping chatting. Someone takes their coat off. Somebody needs to tell a story that requires you to be able to breathe. So we would probably have like 2.5 hours running time. So we basically went up the piste, which was so flooded and muddy and slippery, ran up to the top of that, top to the chairlifts, and we were all like, oh, it was so windy and cold. We're like, we could do an extra lap or we could just run down and eat cake. So we just ran back down and stopped. Someone had made cake. We ate cake and then I sat in the car, and then my seat is still wet from the disgustingness of myself after that. Everything was just so wet. Anyway, so got it done, but it wasn't like our normal long runs, but actually then it rained the whole of the next 24 hours. It rained and rained and rained. And this is the start of the demise of Eddie. So I thought, maybe I'll try and do like another long run when the rain stops. Little did I know. Anyway, we had a weekend chargé, as they say in French. So much stuff. That happens. Like suddenly you'll have like weekends, not much on. And then suddenly we had the weekend where everything happened. We had a birthday. We had a football tournament. We had Ridden finally deciding to come home from wherever he's been. And we had my littlest girl going off on her first school trip a week away. We had a dance show. She had a dance show too, all in the
that would be such a big deal for me as a kid. Was she super excited?
Oh my gosh. So what a difference between girls and boys as well. The boys have done this trip. So she's third child. So she's seen them go. She's seen the videos. She's had to make the poster. She knows all about where she's going to go. Their teacher is super organized, been doing this for years. So she had a list of everything, like 3 t-shirts, 4 pairs of leggings. If you were a girl, 3 elastic bands to tie your hair, but like literally that much of a list. So she just went up, got her suitcase out and folded everything, because we love Stacey Solomon, Sort Your Life Out, folded everything like Dilly folds it out on the list, and then was like, Mummy, can you come and help me check off the list that I've got? Oh my God, this is a dream. Compared to the boys, which would be like football, shirt and shorts. Can I take my football? And I'm like, no, you can't take your football. Oh, should I take my football boots? Why would you take your football boots? Anyway, she was just a drink. Yeah, she's super, super excited. I'll get to seeing her off in a bit. So I felt really bad, third child, that with the boys, we'd got everything sorted and all organized, and it got to, she was going the early morning and all the stuff was still upstairs. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to fit this all in. So Saturday came round. It was her birthday, had managed to be a good parent and collate some of the things off the extensive birthday list, which I'd had to call. It was her birthday. The boys both had to be out of the house at 8 o'clock to go to a football tournament. Still, the rain was coming down. I was like, oh my God, they didn't care. They were like, we don't care. I was like, do take a waterproof. We're not going to wear it anyway, Mum. Okay. So
is it cold? With the rain,
if you're down in the town, it's just wet. If you go, as soon as you go up like above, I'd say probably above 1,500, a little bit exposed, a little bit more wind. Yeah, it's really cold.
Did you get Evie some ginger raws? Appreciate it.
With caffeine. I've sent her those. I've sent her those on the school trip.
Thank you very much.
I said, give them to all your mates. When the teacher
out on the bus.
When the teacher says it's bedtime at about 10 o'clock, take one of these and see what happens.
6. 2 cups of coffee. My goodness me, I'm going to be high as a kite.
I reckon you're going to thank me for that at 2 o'clock when you're stumbling around, not knowing what your name is.
We'll see.
You're not to practice with them before. I want race day.
No, it'll be St Cuthbert's Way all over again when I had that Red Bull. Didn't even make it to the start before.
Oh, yeah. That was the first of the oversharing. Anyway, got to the Saturday. We had to get the boys up early to get them to watch the present opening, because that's a big deal when you're a 9-year-old and you need everybody there to marvel at your marvelousness. And then after all done, I was like, I'm not coming down to football tournament yet. Why not, Mum? Because it's absolutely apocalyptic and nobody would stand there watching you as much as I love you. I don't want to. I need to get my running. Didn't bother having a shower because I thought I'll get to the gym and get my next run in later, thinking that I'd have any time. Anyway, went out for this run. Our local trail race it's not our local, it's the valley over Samoa. So it's about 10 miles away from us. They run a number of trail races. They've got more and more trail races on offer. And they had been running 2 of them come over towards here. So the day before, when I'd been up running in the hills with the dogs, I'd seen the guys putting out the little marker tabs. Hi, bonjour, ça va? You're going to do the race? No, thank you. The route that they choose to do for this super long race, they bring people up and they take them down this descent, Gary, which isn't a path. It looks like a path now on Strava. If you were coming and you know how you can plan a route on Strava because so many people have come down it for the race, but they actually just make it for the race. I've never been down it because you can't see where it is. Normally for the race, they trim it with the grass, with a strimmer because it's lovely and sunny normally, and so you find the path. But when they don't do that, I don't think it'd be very hard to find it on a normal day because it is literally direct off the back of a black ski piece. So personally, I wouldn't, if you slip on it, you're a goner. So I wouldn't personally choose to ever go that route. There are better routes. Anyway, that's the route they chose to. So it's the only way to link these two valleys together. Otherwise, you do have to do a long loop round, which personally I would choose to do anyway. There's a reason for me telling you all the story. And then they bring them to us, basically, at the top of our road. And then you go round a big climb. And then you come down the descent that Rory, Evie and I had climbed up last weekend, which she talked about when we which they do the introduction to the bassin, 2,000 meters last week, which we'd climbed and got sort of 3/4 up and then turned around because the conditions had been so bad. And when we come down, the kids had mocked me because I had the big backpack on and they were throwing themselves down. They were like, why are you going so slow? And I was like, because I like having my teeth. Anyway, this race had been going on all of Friday night in the rain. We'd seen people out. We could see them up on the hills on the head torches. And I was so worried about these people out. About 11 o'clock, it was raining, but it wasn't too bad. And then we have like skylights in our landing upstairs, and the rain was like, it was more hail. It was like banging down. I was like, oh my gosh, those poor people out up high. When I went out for my run on Saturday morning, the pompiers, so that's like, they're like the paramedics of the mountains. They do everything. We have a big pompier station just at the bottom of our road, and they will they'll coordinate all the rescues, but they're really highly trained mountain rescue people. But they're also like, they'd be around town helping out a big parade or something. They love it. You'd want one as a friend. But they're volunteers. It is like mountain rescue, but for they'd be like skiers. They'd be able to turn their hand to anything. Anyway, as I ran up the road in this rainstorm, the pompiers ambulances were going up and down. I was like, oh no, but the river was like absolutely charging down the hill, and the whole trail was like just like a semi-river anyway. And then when I got up to where sort of meadow is, just below the checkpoint of this big race, there must have been like 18 different pompier vehicles of all different, like Land Rovers, vans. They had one of those cars which has like a safety cage over the top. It's like a quad bike, but it would be like a quad bike on. I was like, and then they were all standing around there, and I really wanted to ask them, like, are you just here for safety because the conditions are so bad? And they're like, come in. But they looked really serious. And I was like, it's not, normally they're really friendly, like, because I often see them when they do lots of training. So I often see them out training, but I was like, I don't think it's Lindy like went over and I was like, Lindy, I don't think it's the day. They looked like really glum. Ran back home, had a client doing the race that was going to be the next day. And I rang her going, I don't think you should. I said, the conditions are terrible. I'm not sure that this is your time to do some of this. The descending is going to be awful. I talked about the Annecy race had been redirected and stopped at 30k because the distance was so dangerous. I realize this is a long story, but it all come to a head. Then promised Evie that she could take 20 euros down and spend at the stationery shop for her birthday. Before then, she had to spend the day at the football tournament. So we let's do that. Highlight, what a dream! 9-year-old, 20 euros to buy pens, basically pens. Went down to the stationery shop. The guy that works at the stationery shop is a ski instructor in the winter. Really, really lovely guy. Good friends with Bryn, play football together. And he said, I was down to do that race. And I looked at the weather and I went, no way, I'm not doing that. And I was like, wow, kudos to you, because I would follow you. I would go, you're a proper mountain guy. You've been brought up here. You're a ski instructor. If you won't go out in those conditions, like, what are the rest of us thinking that we have the right to go out in those conditions? And I was like, wow, it's really, he's like, no way. I think, it must have been terrible. And I was like, I was glad I had to have that decision of going to do a race like that when the conditions were like that. And I
think it's good when you see someone with all that experience. That validates your
because I sometimes think I should be more gnarly, I should do more dangerous stuff. And then actually, why do people do all that really dangerous, gnarly stuff? Is it really is it a necessity, especially when you have young or any family or anybody at home? Do we need to do stuff like that? As the rain stopped, we then suddenly heard that not only had the 875 pompiers been involved in rescuing people off the mountain for this local trail race. They'd started the next trail race, which was the 100K, which is much more popular than this big one. They'd taken them up out the valley, and then they turned them all around and brought them straight back down again. I mean, what this race company would think of it. Anyway, 16 people had been seriously injured and one person had died, Gary.
Oh my God.
Can you believe that? I was like, what? I felt so sad. I've been slightly nonchalant about it and slightly like, the weather's really bad and, the pompiers are just there. Probably they're just rescuing people with hypothermia because they've been going so slow because the conditions are so bad. But then I was like, oh my gosh, someone died on that descent that I'd been with the kids when I'd gone. It's too bad. Yeah. It was so bad. We turned around. The descent, the climb I use all the time for my training. Somebody had gone out for their trail race and not come home. And 16 people seriously injured. It made me really sad.
Sobering, isn't it, really? It
was really sobering. That's right, the right word too. I just felt like you take it for granted that if you go and stand on the start line, they're going to look after you and they're not going to send you on stuff. That is not appropriate for those conditions. And that course that they sent the people on, it was in the dark, terrible rain. You're on a ridge, Gary, coming down, and it's grass, so it's not even rock. So those people must have just slipped. And then you've got nothing, nothing to hold, you've got no chain, you've got nothing. Once you start sliding, there's a big cliff edge one side and there's no path. I was lost for words. And I was also just like, you make the decision to go and do these races. And it made me think back to Northern Traverse, and we ran through the storm. I just felt so sad that those people put their trust in the race organisers.
They'd have had their risk assessment.
I think it's very different. I talked to Bryn about this. I think the French risk assessment is very different to the English, that they allowed them to go and do that.
But you sign up, don't you? It's different. I think when I did Paris Marathon, completely different race, but you have to.
You sign away your life basically. But I just feel like you put your trust when you start a race that you're going to be looked after and that you're going to be, that if they say it's okay to go, it's okay to go. And I'm not sure. Well, it wasn't okay to go. And the route wasn't right. They should have rerouted it. There's plenty of tracks, low-level tracks. They could have rerouted that race and people would have come home and people wouldn't have been injured.
It's super tricky because you do want to challenge, but then if something happens, I remember being on the Yorkshire Moors, and that is, you can't even compare it to where you're talking about. But yeah, it was super cold and we were wading through thigh-deep snow, and within minutes we were like, this is not, I don't want to be here. And it was like, well, I don't know, 500 meters or something above sea level. There was nothing.
I know. And anyway, so it's sort of, it's made me think as you can tell by my rambling, I'm still working through gosh, I just felt so sad. So when I went for my run on Sunday, I didn't go anywhere near, it was dry. And this is the beauty and also the beast of the mountains. The next day, they cancelled all the rest of the races, but the next day, the trails it was a beautiful day, clear, sun was shining. And I just thought, I looked over on that descent and I thought, you wouldn't know. You'd look at it and go, well, it looks, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And I think that's what often happens in the mountains is it looks fine. It looks fine. And anyway.
Well, it's fine until it's not fine, isn't it? It's pretty quick.
If you're not sure, if you like your gut, like it did for me on that, when I went out for my run in the morning and I thought, oh God, this isn't the weather to be outside, especially not all right. If you feel like that, if you're not sure you're experienced enough, or even if you might be really experienced, it doesn't really come down to that at the end of the day. It doesn't come down to experience because anybody can slip, anybody can fall. But I think it's really important that we make our own decisions, and you shouldn't make a decision based on what you think other people will think of you, like the guy who runs the stationery shop.
If you're in a group too, don't be scared to be that person to stick their hand up and go, you know what? Today's not the day. The mountains will be here tomorrow. It's not today. So important to be there the next day, isn't it? And I just, can't reiterate that enough, that you're very important people. So don't feel, especially I think now more and more we're getting this like really wet, terrible weather. I've seen like even
over here, I know GB runners have come over here and then they're running and they're like, the races are terrible, but the same in the UK. Don't feel that you have to be that hardcore person out in that weather. If it doesn't feel right for you, and if you feel like, I've got to get up, I've got to look after the kids, I've got to go to work, do I need to put myself through that? Sometimes it's always better to be waking up the next morning and putting the kettle on and saying good morning to your kids.
Well, I've got friends who've said, maybe it could be Christmas and they can't, or they don't want to do a trail race in case they trip, for example, and their family won't be happy if they're spending Christmas in plaster.
Raging. I would be raging. I totally get that. So anyway, rather a sad little story to tell, but an important one to tell. And it did affect my weekend. It affected the Sunday. So we had the football tournament. Oh my gosh. Highs and lows of a football tournament. Didn't have any penalties, thank goodness. They did get knocked out in the semi-finals. Unfortunate. They enjoyed it. They loved it. Totally done in. And then poor boys had to then come over to the next village and stay up until 11:30 at night watching Evie in a dance show, which is a big little local dance show. And there was about 16 dancers. By the end of it, they were like, oh my God.
Oh, that's a long shift.
A lot. How many more? It's like, Evie has been at your football tournament all day. You can sit and watch the dances. And then by the end, I was like, oh my God.
Did they get €20 though to go and spend in their shop?
They had, even Rory said, Mum, I've had so many sweeties and Coke today. Tomorrow I need to eat clean. It's hard when you're playing sport all day and you're a 12-year-old boy or whatever, you don't really want a meal. And so I did have to go after each game. They're Suttons as well. They go all out every game. I was like, well, have 2 or 3 sweets afterwards and then 2 or 3. I need to get them on the gels now, I think. We need to ask Precision Fuel and Hydration what age you can start taking the caffeine gel. Anyway,
was it Robbo? He calls Coke, he calls it his kind of red ambulance.
Well, the kids are on that, heavy on that anyway. Anyway, by the time we got home, it was midnight when I got into bed. I was done, Garrett. I still hadn't had a shower.
Oh, classic. Standard.
So the next day, plans. I thought I'll get up early. Everyone will be really tired. I'll go out for a long run. Then I might even do my gym. I mean, what delusional world do I live in? And then I might do my gym. Anyway, by the time we all managed to wake up, it was 8:30, 9, and then the day has to start. I was like, just get out for a show willing, get something done. It's not going to be what you planned, but it's going to be fine. And we just felt super wiped out all day on that Sunday. And then this morning I had to get up at 3:00 to get Evie on her first school trip. The bus left at 4:00. And this is scary. This is the end of Eddie as we know it. I don't know how one person.
If I had money, I'd have staff. I'd just pay someone to do that.
I was one person. Bryn was like, do you want a cup of tea before you take her? And I was like, no, I'm going to try and just stay asleep. And so just drive her down, drop her off, and then hardly open my eyes. And then some parents started talking to me and I was like, no, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. They were like, have you just done a big race? I was like, oh, shush, it's 3:30 in the morning, shush, drive back up. So it ended up, the running played a low-level part of the week, but I still managed, I think, about 100k and about 8,000 to 9,000 feet of climbing, still got a key session and still got 2 gyms done. It wasn't perfect. More importantly, it reinforced my safety beacon, my gut. It made me think again. And so when I went running, I was like, Bryn, this is the route I'm going to do. This is where, because I don't, we get nonchalant. I get nonchalant living here and I just go off and I make my route up often as I go, where I decide I want to go. And you could do one step and you're a goner and nobody would find. So I was like, Bryn, I'm going to do this route. Right, I need to get better on this, on being, and we talked about it in my girls running WhatsApp of we're much better than perhaps we even were. I think people are more aware of it maybe as well. And also we've had a few situations where we've all been out together and storms have come in and someone hasn't bought a coat or something like that, or things like we take spikes. If there's a possibility of a snow traverse, perhaps we'd have been like, we'll just be fine. But now we're like, don't be that person. Always have your coat, always have your safety blanket, always have snacks so that that you're not going to eat, that just live in the bottom of your bag, an old Mars bar that you perhaps, just keep it for a few months in there and then eat it. And then so that if something happens, and it's more, and we talked about this too, it's more so you can look after the person that's injured, not for you when you're injured, because it's when you stop. And in bad weather and even in good weather, it's when you stop that things go downhill. So the week was manic, but it also it reinforced those safety points to me, that we're small people on this earth. We shouldn't take for granted the fact that we get to run around the mountains, but also we need to make good decisions in the mountains as well. You weren't expecting that, were you, Gary? You were expecting a lovely, I'm sorry.
No, I was not.
It went a
My
bit
goodness
deep,
me.
but oh no,
was
I didn't mean to
harrowing.
be harrowing, but I think it's really important to share that sort of thing. You know, trail running getting more and more popular, different extreme mountain routes, you know, and if we put ourselves in these situations, and social media, I am sure, plays a big part of it. You see other people doing it, you think, I'm going to do it. Great, do it. But just make sure you tick off all those boxes, those safety boxes first. And if you feel it's not right, if your gut, Bryn always says the gut, if you feel it in your gut that it's not right, it's not right. Turn around, live to turn the kettle on another day.
I think since this podcast, I've become more
Hanging with
aware
Eddie.
of what's in my
Have you?
bag.
If Stuart had to come up in the Lake District and I'd be raging. Yeah, and you'd also never hear the end of it if you were up in a vest.
Jacket. Imagine that. Oh my! You know, these things.
You just wouldn't do it now, would you? You wouldn't. No. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go out without a jacket. But I would.
But it could be a situation where you 100% just forget for some reason, something stupid happens. But
yeah, you forgot your jacket. You forgot your bag once, didn't you?
Yeah, luckily Rob had enough stuff. Well, we're doing leg 5. But again, you know, I just was blasé. Oh, it's only leg 5. It's fine. But yeah, if one of us tripped or something, we were going super slow. But yeah, be arsed. I think I was climbing just to pass near Rossett Pike and it started to rain. And part of me's like, oh my goodness me. It was like drizzle and it was sunny. So personally, I couldn't be bothered to put my jacket on. But I just thought, no, I had Stuart in my ear. Be arsed, Gary, put your jacket on. And even the run that we planned, I'll talk about my run a bit later, but the run that we planned, I thought it'd be 6 hours. I think we were out a bit longer. That's mainly because we stopped and had a slice of chocolate cake mid run. I always do the food. I think, okay, 6 hours. Then I'll go, there's another 2 hours food too, whatever that is. It could be just 2 bars of Kendall meat cake or something like that. Just pop that in the bag because, the run may just take longer.
Calories. I think like a Mars bar's 400 calories. Like that's going to give you a few good hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's get down to proper business now. And let's check in with the real athlete.
Let's bring you down. All right. So, as usual, I've mentioned 3 weeks now, non-negotiables, and we are crushing it. Easy miles again on Monday, and I did my strength session too. That is literally a repeat from last week. I did that exactly the same Monday. Birthday celebrations on Monday too. I had a wonderful, it feels like because I talked about it last week too, but it actually...
Yeah, it's still going. God, yeah.
It's still called birthday celebration. So much cake and pastry, Eddie. I felt a bit grubby afterwards.
Did you feel like Rory when he went off the football tournament? I need to clean eat.
I had posh fish and chips. I really enjoyed that. You know what defines a posh chippy for me? Well, I need a sea view. That's a classic.
Where did you go? North Shields?
In Seaham, just up the road from Seaham. It used to be a Barclays Bank, and now it's a fish and chip shop.
The best fish and chips I've ever had is after the Great North Run on the South Shields. On the seafront there.
Oh, what they called? Coleman's Fish and Chip Shop. That is a classic. If you're into left-wing politics and a big fan of the Blair era, then yeah, Coleman's Fish and Chip Shop is for you. They've got lots of memorabilia up on the wall.
Well, it's the place for me because I am a big Blair fan.
Yeah, actually, over time, it's not really wearing that well, is it? The Blair regime. Also, what marks as a good posh fish and chips, you could bake your fish. You just didn't have to have it in deep fried
what's the
in
point
butter.
of that? No, I go in for the grease. I want the grease, rub it all over me.
Yeah, but I went for the grease, but fatty food, yeah, it's not good for Gary's tummy. Yeah, 2 pints of fizzy lager. Oh my goodness me. That on a school light, I was
hey, there's only one Gareth Ritz. Did you start some fights?
It just went down so well. Yeah. Immediately took my top off, started swinging it around. But yeah, 1 pint became 2 pints quite quickly, and but that was it. I was off, finished. But I had a wild card birthday gift. Do you know Vinted, the app Vinted? I'm not going to set you up as like a Jake Paul kind of guy.
No, I know Vinted. The kids are always wanting to get stuff off of Vinted, and I'm always like, doesn't work so well in the mountains because by the time you paid for the postage to get it up here, it's more than Vinted. You got to be minted.
Minted. Well, Lisa loves it. It's like Lisa's little kind of wind down before she goes to bed. She kind of flicks through the Vinted app. But she bought me a Patagonia top.
I love Patagonia.
I'm such a sad kid. It's got the Patagonia badge on it. It's like I'm 50% there. I like it.
Yeah, it means you're cool. You're cool. You live in Boulder, Colorado.
But you go on the Patagonia website, and I don't think you get many things for 20 quid on that.
Your 20 euros, your birthday 20 euros is not going to get you far with that, is it?
But she did a wild card and bought me a hoodie, fleecy hoodie from the Patagonia shop, or from Vinted for £20. Mind blown. For ethical reasons, I think when you talk to anyone, say maybe from Green Runners, the best thing to do is not produce more stuff. So not only A, I like it, B, it was super cheap, C, stuff wasn't produced too. So yeah, it was a very good wildcard. Lisa knows historically it's quite high risk buying me clothes. I'm quite controlling, fussy. I'm not too sure what the right words are.
Really? That surprises me because I've not, whenever I've seen you, I wouldn't call you a fashion stylist.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I was super grateful for that. I loved it. And all that fat and sugar, it really took its toll on me. So Wednesday.
I'm proud of you.
Well, yeah, I did push through. Anything pastry, sweet pastry, savoury pastry, things wrapped in pastry, pies, wraps, anything like. I love a puffed ring. I'm all over that. But the only problem is I'm greedy and I'll finish it off too quick with a ring. What? But then Wednesday was treadmill, 8 times 3 minutes at 10%. The plan said 6, so I thought I'd do 8.
Beat the plan, Gary. Hashtag beat the plan, Gary.
I know, literally, I said, don't beat the plan. And every week for the past 2 weeks at least, I beat the plan. Well, the reason why I like to do at least 20 minutes of graft, so that's why I didn't do the 6. I don't know why. I suppose maybe I should have looked further on in the week what was coming up, and I needed the energy for maybe the long run or something like that. But anyway, I did 8 times 3. He enjoyed that, about 2,100 feet of vert for the treadmill gym. On Thursday, they got a new machine. Well, it's not a new machine to the gym. It's a new machine for me. It works your glutes, your quads, and your hamstrings, and you're on all fours.
Called a squat?
No, it's called. I don't know what it's called. You're basically on all fours, and you put one leg. Chafing. You're on all fours, and you put one leg on this bar.
This isn't a gym machine, Gary. Did someone take you in a back room and say, we've got a new machine? Don't mind the camera and the backdrop.
Put that mask on.
It's gym policy.
Get me a free monthly membership for a month. No, this is a serious exercise. And then you put your leg on a bar, but then you kind of push your leg back.
I think it's sensible.
I don't know what it's called, but it works your glutes, your quads, and your hamstrings. Oh, it was incredible. Sensational.
Sensational.
And then I did a lakes trip on Friday at 13. I'm all over these 13 valleys recce's. And I was testing out because I think probably going to use the Ultra Mont Blanc Speed Carbon for the race. Look at you.
That would be the end of my feet. The end of my feet, my Achilles and my calves.
Well, yeah, this is it. I'm super fortunate that the zero drop doesn't seem to trigger anything for me. And for the most part, it really worked well.
You love a carbon trail shoe. I quite like, I've got the North Face Carbon, whatever they're called, but I find descending on them, I find the ankle a little bit too high, the stack too high.
I will see.
You
need the zero drop.
You need the zero drop. What's the lugs on them?
They're only 3.5 mils. So if it's...
Oh, yeah. Well, you ran in the other ones with me when we did the Northern First, didn't you? You're flying all over the place. Yeah. Useless.
Well, this is the funny, with all these races, the 13 Valleys, there was so much of it on hard packed trails, gnarly rocky trails where I wasn't moving particularly fast. There's a few bits where you were boggy, but nothing would cope well on that. So there's always a compromise. So ultimately... I'm going for comfort, like the New Balance I used on the Recce and these Mont Blancs. They're pretty much like a 30 mil stack out. But the Mont Blancs, obviously, they've got 29, 30 mil from front to back. They're not this like a wedge. So
a high rocker, like I love a rocker.
Yeah, they haven't got a rocker, I suppose. That's the only thing with them. But Yeah, super comfortable. I was 26 miles. We were out for hours and hours and hours. And even to the end when I was running the Grasmere, yeah, I had no foot fatigue. And that, people who know Ultra, they've got the wide toe box. So that I'm just thinking when I weigh up all the little variables for the day.
But comfort takes precedent over grip. To me, it would for 100-miler. I would go all day. I'd go comfort with a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, 100%. I would rather, like say, I really like my Saucony Peregrines, the soft ground ones, and they've got like 7 mil lugs, and they'd be awesome for Fusedale.
Oh, awesome. But then they're so hard, aren't they? But I think as well, you have to think about how you're moving when you choose your trainer choice as well. And you're moving so differently, even to a 50-miler to a 100-miler.
Yeah.
And almost not having a big grip enotices you a little to slow down on the descents, which is only going to be a really good thing when you're running for that long, because you want to keep a continuous effort rather than, I can hammer down this descent and then get to the bottom and go.
Yeah, if you got, I know, say Bob going around Old County Tops and Teenage of Altitude, when I've had big grippy lugs on, I've just gone flying down some of those. Well, for me, they're not really fast.
Yeah, I've seen you come down descents.
I'm not going to get any segments.
Gingerly.
Relatively, yeah, you'd smash your quads up if you had that kind of confidence to go down some of the descents. But it really is, it tells a tale. You see Lakeland 100 route, roughly 20,000 feet for 100 miles, 103 miles, 13 valleys on paper again, not too dissimilar, 115 miles with again about 20,000 feet of vert.
So actually ratio is less climbing on the 13 valleys.
Yeah, and I've only done 20 odd, probably I've only done say 30 miles of the physical route. So this doesn't tell the tale for the whole route, but what I'm finding so far, the climbs that I've done.
They're much harder.
Yeah. So you do the pass. So we cut across, I'm forgetting the name of the pass, but basically to the right, you've got Rossett Pike. To the left, if you keep going, you've got Bowfell. So you're pretty high on leg 3 of Bob Graham Run, which I really enjoyed being back on those trails. And I did see 2 runners going from Rossett Pike to Bowfell. And I just thought, they're definitely doing a recce or an attempt. I'm not too sure.
Did you tell them who you were? Didn't get that close. Couldn't catch them up.
Couldn't catch them up. And then also, again, you go to Styx Pass, which is quite high. And then once you've done Styx Pass and you go through Patterdale, I'm blanking on the name of this summit, but I suppose my point is there's more points on the 13 Valleys route where you go higher than the Lakeland 100, Fusedale, and Black Sail Pass. They're probably the 2 significant climbs. And also what I'm finding is underfoot for me is a lot more technical. So I was coming off on the way down into Borrowdale and I thought, this would be great. You look at the elevation profile, we're going to be moving really lovely, really fast down there. Yeah, when you got lower down, it was fine. But that high, when you just
that high bit, that top bit is rocky, isn't it? It's rocky. It's hard to get a rhythm.
But then you run across boulders and you look to your left, you think, there's the bloody path. Why am I doing this? So I've never done that Langdale where you go up the valley and then like to the pass of Rossett Pike. I've always, with Old County Tops, I've come down into the valley from that way. And I've always looked over there, thought, I've never really joined the dots. Like, it's Bowfell, this and that. And I just really enjoyed going that way, right up the valley. Super wet, my goodness me. The weather wasn't great. And once we got to the top, we got to the rim. Didn't hang around, got off the rim as quick as possible. What I thought in my smutty humour, my summit bag informed me that we went to Tongue Head. That did make me chuckle. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Then when we came down to Borrowdale, I could have just stayed at the Borrowdale Youth Hostel. Could have stayed there all day. Vegan chocolate fudge cake and a cup of coffee.
Oh my God.
It was sensational. Then off we went up, over, and then down at the Grasmere. I had a belter of a day, but it took longer than we thought, mainly because it was navigation. The trails were a little bit more aggressive, a lot more slippy and slidey than I thought. But I don't know, it just seems more breathtaking, the route. I don't want to do the Lakeland 100 disservice. I'm so fond of that. And maybe because I'm just being seduced by these new trails. And when the sun came out, it was absolutely glorious. And I do enjoy, there was
You're much higher as well, aren't you? You're much higher. You're in the wilds.
You definitely feel it. Like there was, I think Sally commented that she'd never seen a stretcher box in any of her runs. And it did feel, when you come down off the pass and you Sprinkling Town and places like that, it's you definitely do. Wow, you do feel wild and remote. I hoped that 13 Valleys started in the morning, because 100% I'm going to take more than 24 hours on this race, and that was always the goal with Lakeland 100. First goal is finish it. It's 100 miles. Anything can happen. 13 Valleys again starts in the evening. So it's going to take me 30 hours, say, for example. 100%.
What was Mark Derbyshire's time on it?
But he was 22 hours, but then the people after him, I think, were like 29 hours or something like that. So this, I don't finish top. I don't finish on the podium of the Lakeland 100.
Why not?
Well, I don't. I've never finished on the podium of the Lakeland 100.
Well, you're not setting your standards a little bit higher this year. You're doing enough training.
Well, I don't know who's going to turn. I don't know what the...
excuses.
If it's as competitive. I don't know if it's as competitive. Maybe it's not, maybe it is. But looking at those times, I expect to be 30 hours north. So that is going to mean 2 nights, not 2 full nights of running, but 2 nights of running. I've never done that. So it's,
I was going to say, if you've done, second night.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Part of me is like, oh God, I don't want to be doing 2 nights. In my head, when I said I'd do it, I thought about 24 hours, and now it's sinking in that it's not going to be 24 hours. 13 Valleys is going to 100% be a different challenge. I don't think I will be on the start line for the Spine race or Northern Traverse anytime soon. That 200 odd mile event.
We'll see. As we said, as I was telling you a guilty secret before we recorded, don't worry, dear listener, I will tell you all in good time. But you're only not on those start lines because you're scared.
I don't know how to respond to that. I'm not scared. I just don't want to do it.
No, there is that too. There's something about the sleep deprivation, isn't it?
I'm too quick to do 200 milers. Then a huge drive home, and that's always the case.
Who drove?
I drove, and I don't think I got home till about 9 o'clock.
The M&M's packet, no.
Pet emoji on the way up. Justin was a good influence on me on the way out, actually. We normally do the Reghead stop. We were in T-Bay, and it's a similar place. Justin is a proper veggie. Doesn't just say it once a week and then eats a bit of meat during the week. But he was a positive influence. I didn't have my bacon sandwich, which I normally would. I had a cinnamon bun instead. So, yeah. I think it's good when you're around people who are like vegetarians and making positive actions. It does rub off on you. Saturday, and I can't wait. Saturday, Zone 2 trails with Rex. And this is where the deets get different, because this was, obviously a lot shorter.
Hellfire, the deets are different.
Well, no, the ratio was pretty similar. 2 to 1-ish, 2.5 to 1, 250 feet per mile. But because the trails are not technical, you can just move so much faster. So if you see a race, like initially, this is what I was sucking into with 13 Valleys. I thought, Lakeland 100. The reality is that is not going to be the case for me. So my Zone 2 on the local trails, maybe 11, 12 minutes mile. Zone 2-ish on the 13 Valleys recce was something more like 16. We did stop for a coffee, but more like 16 miles. So 16-minute miles. So if you see the deets of a race, that doesn't necessarily tell the tale of what it is. I've got to thank James Dowdle, actually, 13 Valleys Intel. You asked last week if it was waymarked, the course, and I said no.
Not waymarked. Obviously, it's not going to be waymarked. I just asked if it was going to be marked.
Apparently, and it is, I've double checked on the actual website, because the way they do their routes, the 2 valleys and the 5 valleys or 7 valleys, whatever it is, they do overlap. So anyway, people who are thinking about doing it, they're wondering, oh my goodness me, is it going to be signposted? The last 55k, which will be from Ambleside to the finish, is signposted. They're going to have little signs out there. So I shouldn't have really recce'd the bit that I did, because it's going to be signposted.
But I think it's always good to know the end. Well, I think if you're going to recce a bit, knowing the end, especially if you're 30 plus hours, 40 hours into a race and you're off.
I'm going to have to think about things like
just living on caffeine, raw sweets.
So much more food. Obviously, head torch batteries comes into play, because my tactic for Lakeland 100 is always... You're
going to have to start your battery pack management. I know what somebody who's very experienced on multi-day. She can help you out. She can
brew with the coaches. I'll do that. I'll brew with the coaches question. But I've normally just had my silver head torch as my main head torch, and then I've got one of those little tiny petrol bindies.
That's not gonna.
It's not gonna cut the mustard.
Please don't put your Betzel bindi coming off.
It's September, so I think September's going to be dark about 7, something like that, end of September.
I'll lend you a couple of my Petzels.
All in all, a decent week. My Strava bars are sensational.
Up. You just
very consistent, but it's funny. They do look consistent, but there's no progression to the distance. It's not going up and up and up. I just hit 80 miles, and then I'm kind of stuck at 80 miles. 80 miles, 13,000 feet of vert. Done my workout, all the gyms. Third non-negotiable. Done.
You could make me feel a less immortal next to you, Gary, but I refuse to judge myself, feel lesser because my Strava bars are lower.
Comparison, thief of joy. No Brew with the coaches of the game, but we will be sitting down with coaches next week.
No Brew with the coaches, no guests. It's the start.
Yeah. We're back on track with how we get our episodes out. We were a bit inconsistent for a while. Well, I was, sorry. Apologies. There was things going on. They were going out on a Friday, Saturday, maybe even a Sunday. But yeah, back with the coaches next week. But always send the questions in. Yeah, if you've got a question for our coaches, send them in to
How do I run through 2 nights? Asking for a friend.
hello@teaandtrails.com. Thanks to Phoenix Light for sponsoring our Strava Club and Tales from the Trails section. And don't forget, patrons can enjoy 10% off over at phoenixlight.co.uk. First up, the random wheel spinner selected Neil Cornelius. He did the Railway Children 51-mile ultra. Whoa, that looked awesome. Sounded like a pub crawl to Neil over on Strava. I wonder because the winning times, I looked at Neil's elevation for the week in total. This is not the event, but he did 1,954 feet of vert with a total mileage for the week of 78.6 miles. And his longest run for the race was 51.1 mile. But I think the race itself had 1,000 feet of vert. That's pretty fast for a 51 miler, assuming, just like I mentioned earlier, that what is going on the foot.
242 meters. Yeah. Of ascent.
I'd be really interested what the winning times
were. You and
I,
Gary, we could definitely Nike Vaporfly that.
Put some. You can do that, can't you? Put your trail treads on your Vaporfly. You don't even need to do that anymore. These super shoes, my goodness me. Next up is Claire Heavyside. Couldn't see what Claire's been up to, but a 62.6 mile long run. That's got to be an event, hasn't it? Surely you don't really go out for 62.6 miles unless it's an event. But yeah, Claire, no way. 74.5 miles for the week in total and 5,476 feet of vert. Mick Topman requests to follow, so I can't see what Mick's been up to too. But 31-mile long run, 65.5 miles total for the week. And yeah, nearly 15,000 feet of vert. That is awesome. Got to give a shout out to friends of mine, Sonia and Joanne. They did Lake 100 route over 3 days. I would love to do this, but sometimes I think 3 big back-to-backs are probably harder than just doing the event in one kit. Because I know personally, say I've done a couple of multi-day things, and yeah, waking up that second day and going again for, it's going to be 30 odd miles. That's pretty rough, but yeah, super tough. Great to see that you got it done, and what a treat, just being out for an adventure with your mate. I'd love that.
With me whining.
This week's Heavy Flex goes to Rob Brooks. Rob Brooks has been on the podcast, Dragon's Back Race 2023 finisher, and he recently completed the Paddy Buckley round, 66 miles and just over 30,000 feet of vert. Now, Rob had an unsuccessful attempt 6 years ago, so it's awesome to see him go back and smash it. And Rob was an integral part of my Leg 3 Bob Graham round team. So thanks for that, Rob. Looks like he had an awesome team too. And sorry, I couldn't make it, Rob. Birthday weekend. I would have been in the doghouse if I'd have buggered off to Wales that weekend. But yeah, super pleased Rob got it done. Awesome. Kudos to all our Strava Club members. And if you'd like to be in with a chance of a random shout out, then join our Strava Club. Tales from the Trails.
Dear Eddie and Gary, my tale from the trail is in part a thank you to you. Ooh. And also a nod to the wonderful trail running community of which we are part of. I've run a number of ultras over the years up to 100k, including being lucky enough to get a place in the CCC last year, which was an amazing experience. Off the back of this, I decided I'd like to step up and have a go at a 100-miler. I wanted it to be one that had some meaning and purpose, and was pleased to find that Race Across Devon Ultra, organised by Climb Southwest Events. This would involve running from coast to coast, south to north across Devon, as it suggests. Having grown up in Devon, but not living there now, this would be a great trip down memory lane, running past some friends' houses, as well as many places we used to visit as a family. To add to this, it started at Wembury Beach next to the church. Sadly, I lost my twin brother to cancer almost 12 years to the day of the start, and his memorial stone is there looking over the beach. Goodness. So last week, the morning of the race started fairly emotionally, I bet, as we set off from the beach under warm sunshine. From the off, you could tell it was going to be a friendly race. A fairly small field for the coast to coast immediately started chatting and introducing each other. I ran a lot of the first day and night with a chap called Dave from Cornwall. We talked about your podcast and how much we both enjoy it, amongst other things. When I was feeling low and had just dropped my watch charger in the rain, he appeared and helped me out. When we stopped to meet crew, we caught each other back up. You really get to know about somebody when you spend hours together. I left him in the night at an aid station when he went for a sleep and did not see him again. I think he struggled a bit more on day 2, but got to the end successfully. It was at this point in the middle of the night, battling through ridiculous amounts of mud and water in foggy conditions, that I tuned into the latest Tea and Trails podcasts. 2 hours with you guys took my mind off things, particularly as you were talking to Hannah about her Northern Traverse. It made me realise everyone suffers, even the best runners. By the time it had finished, the light was coming up, the dawn course had started, and everything seemed okay again. A number of runners had supporters and followers of them, and over time you get to recognise them. One let me use their camper van to change out of wet clothes. Others offered snacks or drinks. The friendliness of everyone was heartwarming, and the event crew was incredible. We had almost one-to-one service in the aid stations. Nothing was too much trouble. Filling bottles, getting warm food, tea and coffee, and generally just morale boosting. The route was beautiful, undulating over Dartmoor and Exmoor, through sun, rain, fog, and back into sun. In total, it was 113 miles when Lynmouth on the north coast came into view. A run down a ridiculously steep hill into the village, and I was done. A handshake and a photo to finish. It just goes to show it does not always have to be a big ticket event. A smaller event can be equally as professionally run, with the opportunity to get to know the crew and runners. There was likely more time running on my own with less people in the field, but the time I spent with runners and crew alike made me so happy to be part of this wonderful trail running community. The friendship, camaraderie, suffering highs and low that we all share brings us together more, and I thank everybody for such a wonderful experience and the podcast for getting me through the night. Love the podcast. Keep up the good work. Regards, Martin and Rossiter. Now some deets about the race. There were about 40 runners, although 100k went off from either end as well as the race across Devon, which added to the numbers. I placed 13th in 32 hours, so was fairly pleased with this. I think you deserve to be fairly pleased with that, Martin. I would almost go as far as to go heavy flex for that one.
Heavy flex. I love a small race. I love the intimacy of a small race.
I love as well when you start on a long race and you do every crew point, you're sort of with the same 3, 4, 5 people, and you get to know the people, and you lean on them. You lean on them for support.
Goodness me, you share some stuff.
Thanks again at Phoenix Light for sponsoring Deals from the Trails. We do. It's my favourite part. My favourite part of the show, honestly, much more than Gary. Sharing your tales from the trails. Keep them coming. Please email them to hello@teaandtrails.com. Oh, I see you've renamed this section Hot 5-star Reviews. Coming in hot.
Heavy didn't. What did I say? Coming in hard? Hard 5-star. It wasn't appropriate, a hard review.
It's not appropriate. It's so inappropriate. Hot. Is hot more appropriate?
Hot.
It does describe me, so I reckon we go with it.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I came up with that title. Hot. Oh, we got 2. Should I read 2 or should I leave one just in case we get any more?
Come on, let's do this.
All in.
All in. I'm all in.
Okay. Love this podcast. Eddie and Gary are funny and smart.
Nobody hasn't listened.
Very kind of you, that. And bring super interesting guests on the show. Can't argue there. I've learned so much and have had a whole new world of trail running opened up to me. Thank you for transforming my life.
Oh.
Whoa. Thanks for that, Katerina Pio. I know I've messed that up. Apologies in advance. Don't come at me, people. Via Apple Podcasts all the way Switzerland.
Not too far from me. 5k up the road. Perfection in a podcast. Yes. Tea and Trails is now my go-to podcast. So it should be. Cracking innuendos, smooth and sensual voices, and barrels of laughs. The content is also top-notch. Guests are fascinating. Not this week. Brew with the coaching is informative, and Gary and Eddie are excellent at what they do. Keep it coming, guys. Nick, EG89, you are a legend. Keep listening. Turn off all those other podcasts and just keep listening to this on repeat. Please keep those 5-star reviews rolling in. It makes it so much easier for other runners to find us, and we love reading your hot 5-star reviews.
It feels like I've been reading out this competition forever and ever. And it's
Feels
only
like I've been on this podcast forever.
and it's only, as we record, it's only the 17th of June. So this competition has still got a few weeks left. But for the month of June, our awesome friends Protein Rebel are providing the prizes to celebrate the launch of their new vegan protein powder, and I've tried it. It is yummy. We've got 5 tins. That's 20 serving per tin to give away. 3 for our legend patrons and 2 for everybody else. So yeah, 1 legend patron will win 3 tins and 1 of everybody else will win
Lay
2 tins.
people, commoners.
All you have to do is be a legend Patreon, and everyone else needs to subscribe to our YouTube channel and add the word, and there's so much going on over there. Lots of heavy flexing over on YouTube. Add the word heavy flex to the comments of this YouTube video, or 73, 72. I'm not too sure. It's kind of running all the way through June. So yeah, heavy flex in the comments and I will pick it up. It's 100% free to subscribe to YouTube. So don't worry. It shouldn't cost you a penny. Winners picked at random, end of June. I need some kind of throat remedy for when we
Face
record.
transplant.
Thank you for that. I was enjoying our conversation.
I was enjoying it until you said you didn't want to go on an adventure with me. And now I shall harbour that, as women do, for at least 2 to 3 weeks. And you'll keep saying, "What's wrong, Eddie?" And I won't. I'll say nothing. Nothing's wrong.
Oh,
But
goodness me. Yeah.
inside,
I've said something to Lisa,
inside, yeah.
and I'm over it.
Same. I'm
Within
over
10
it.
minutes.
Yep.
Lisa's not.
Nope. Harbour. That's me. Judgy, harbour.
Oh, my goodness me. I'm very sorry, Edwin. I'd love an adventure.
No,
movie.
too late now. I don't want to go on with you.
But what I'd love more is to find out what's coming up.
Would you? I bet you would. I've only got 2 kids for a whole week. Easy breezy. Sleazy deezy. So easy. And the Euros are on, so all they're going to want to do is check their predicted scorers, team players. I don't know what they've done. Their stat knowledge of every player, they knew them. Oh yeah, he plays so and so. He plays so and so. Oh, he's the better. Like, if you work that hard at school, things would be a little bit more. So I've only got 2 kids, and they're obsessed with the football. So I'm pretty sure all they want to do is what. But they're late for us. Those football matches.
Well, yeah, 8 o'clock UK. So that was
9 o'clock. I'm me. Touch out at 9 o'clock. I just leave the hooligans downstairs drinking beer and shouting at the TV. So I'm going to go, and the weather is dry at last. Dry for the week. Hopefully, don't you change, you weather. So I have an extra hour at the start of the day and an extra hour at the end of the day because of the way the school works. So I'm not going to do any workouts this week. I'm just going to get dirty on the trails and just run, hike, some long days out and just enjoy the mountains in the sunshine because
fingers crossed.
I've got 10 days left until the summer holidays start. So now's the time, my friend, to make the most of my last 10 days of freedom for 2 months. So that's my plan. That's my coaching plan. Get some lovely days, recruit my friends. I'll write the training plans. So I'm like, you're gonna have a big volume week this week, okay? So this is what you're doing.
Love it.
I've got some routes planned. I've planned some routes, places we haven't been, places I can see that we haven't got to yet because they're a little bit higher, but it looks like the snow, still snow, but it looks like the patches now would be either traversable or they're just not quite on the trail. But we are going to take our spikes just in case we need them to be safe. And I shall make sure everybody knows the route that we're going. So hopefully lovely long week. And then a quieter, I need some sleep, Gary. So bad. But the great news is everyone will be relieved to hear I've finished Bridgerton, so there'll be no late night heavy breathing under the covers.
What is it on? Is it Netflix?
Yeah.
I should watch it. I think I'd enjoy it.
Really? I'm not sure that it's...
No.
Well, I don't know. A heaving bosom. Maybe it is up your street. Nah. But I won't skip the gym. No, never skip leg day, Gary. Gym will still be done. So the minute you let me off this call, I'm going down to get hench even more, get those biceps even bigger.
You should measure them.
That's what you would do, wouldn't it? Do you reckon mine are bigger than yours? I reckon.
No chance.
Should we measure?
We'll have a gun off next week.
Let's have a gun off next week. Yep, I am totally. I'm going to predict. I reckon mine are bigger.
No chance, listeners. Come on, we'll do a poll on Facebook. Who's got the biggest guns? Eddie, okay, all will be revealed.
Even the children are impressed with my guns.
Do you do quad stomps when you're in front of the gym mirror? Do you get your stomp your quad?
Yeah, what I do is I really dehydrate myself, some of my muscles. Really good. I try and avoid the mirror only when I deadlift, or I do it in front of the mirror to check my flat back. The rest of the time, I try not to even glance in it because it is so horrendous what I see in the back. So I like to keep the image that I look like Cornucova in my head, and I don't need the mirror to tell me otherwise.
They've got a mirror perpendicular to the treadmill. So every now and again, I'll take a little right look to see my form, and immediately I nearly go flying off the back of it. I literally have to look forward at 24/7.
Can you imagine those treadmills that have the mirrors in front of them and all you're doing is staring at yourself? I wouldn't be able to run on that. You'd really enjoy it.
I'd love it. I'd be like, heavy flex, Gary. Oh, I'd love a treadmill at home. Oh, I've sold my turbo trainer and I've given my road bike away.
Oh my gosh, you use it all the time. How are you going to manage?
There's some cycling genetic royalty. I'm not going to say any more than that, but I'll tell you off air. It's not my story to share, but somebody who's buying my turbo trainer, there's some serious cycling genetics in that family. Serious.
Northern genetics.
Nope.
Oh. Okay.
Anyone who's into cycling, and I'm not particularly into cycling, have heard of this athlete.
Okay.
I don't want to kind of virtue signal, but I gave my bike away. There's a cycle club localish to me, and I thought, you know what? Let's just give it away. There might be some kid out there who hasn't got a bike, so there we'll put it to some good use.
You're an angel. An angel.
I am.
Right. Come on, it's lunchtime. Make this short. Make it quick.
But fingers crossed. And I think I'm in the zone. I'm pretty motivated, pretty pumped, focused on my own training. Fingers crossed, though, for another solid week, long run, medium long run, and session all the way to another lakes trip on Friday. I'm loving these 4-day weeks and then buggering off on a Friday. I'm not too sure of the route just yet. I'm fancying that loop that I did again. I like that just to have it reinforce it in my memory. I'm enjoying that, and I will do again that 17 Hills Challenge route on Zone 2 on the Saturday. It's 2,500 feet of vert. It's local to me. It's no brainer. It's out the door. 2 relatively big days back to back. Yeah, that is the plan.
What a show. Don't need a guess, Gary. Let's do a poll.
I'll show them. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks so much for sticking around to the bitter end. You guys rock. You are legends, every one of you. Thanks again for all the 5-star reviews you keep giving. We'll keep taking. I'll take them all. All day long. I can take it. I need a safe word though sometimes. Anyway, thanks to Permission Fuel Hydration and Phoenix Light for sponsoring this week's show. Use the code T24 for 15% off your first order. And thanks to our partners and Patreons too. 100%. We couldn't do this without you.
Be kind to your future self. Be kind to your podcast co-host. Sorry. Breathe and believe. Progress, not perfection. Keep shield high. Feel like a champ. Eat to the bitter end. I hope you all have a great weekend. My name is Eddie Sutton.
And my name is Gary Thwaites.
And that was episode 76 of the Teen Trails podcast.
Oh, can I have a shout out? Can I have a request, listener request? If you're out there in the trails with your buffs, your snooze, your merch, take some pictures, share them in the Facebook group. I love seeing them.
He wants pictures. Are you asking for pictures of women specifically in this Facebook group?
Why did you go to... Anybody.
If you're a 19-year-old college student in the pub, send it to my Facebook page.
Oh my goodness me. We need a guest. No more of this next week. We need a guest.
Far too much. Far too much chat. Yeah, we love it. We love you sharing the pictures and we love your intros. Keep them coming in. Share the love.